Let's get started. So today we're going to be looking at Chapter 9, Section 1 Review. So this is going through all of Section 1 material from Chapter 9. So let's start off with the first question, which is asking us to simplify the following expression. We have the cube root of negative 64 times m to the power 7. So try this on your own first, and then we'll go through it together. Okay, so right here we have the cubic root of negative 64 m to the power 7. First thing I always want to do is whenever I see a big number, I want to use the factor tree to find out what the prime numbers are. So with 64 we have 8 times 8. This can turn into 2 times 4, and then we get 2 times 2. Same thing over here, 2 times 4 and 2 times 2. Once we do that, the next step is to write out the expanded version. I'm going to leave the negative sign on the side because I don't want to get it all confused with the other numbers. So we get here the negative sign on the outside, and we're multiplying 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the m is being expanded 7 times. So m times m, and we keep on going to all the way to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. That's kind of meshed up with the other 8. Hopefully that doesn't get confusing to see. So let me move it to the side here. Let's move it like, let's see, maybe this way would be better. Oh, didn't work. Move it like that, and then let me erase this one right here. We get 8 and 8, and that was the 64. Okay, much better. Once we do that, we want to take out all of the groups of 3. And I also want to take out the -1 sign. Now, if you get kind of confused here on why I want to get the -1 separately by itself, or how I can, it's because if I were to look at the cubic root of negative 64 m to the power 7 with the cubic root here, I can also rewrite this as the following, where we have -1 times 64 times m to the power 7. Now, if I were to look at the cubic root of -1 right here, we know that the cubic root of -1 is just equal to -1, right? Because the cubic root of -1 would equal to just -1 because of the fact that we can write -1 1, 2, 3 times. So because of that, I can group them up into 3 and take it out as just -1. So that's why right here, I have it separate. That way I could just take it out automatically. And then just kind of leave it alone as its own answer. And then afterwards, I can deal with all the other groups of 3 here. So I have a group of 3 of 2's. I have another group of 3 of 2's, another group of 3 of m's, and another group of 3 of m's. So we get here 2 times m times m, and the leftover that is inside is going to be m. Once I do that, I get as my answer -4m to the power 2, and that's going to be to the cubic root of m. And so once I do that, that would be my final answer. Okay, cool. So let me clear this, and then let's continue on. Next question is asking us here to simplify the following expression. This time we have a fraction. Let's try working on this problem on your own first, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, so right here, I'm going to start off by separating the square roots. Once I do that, the next step is really important to make sure that it makes your life a lot easier, which is to simplify the numbers first. So see if there's anything you can simplify on top. So with 6, we know the factors of 6 are 2 times 3. For 20, we have 4 times 5, which is just 2 times 2. So we get here cubic root of 2 times 3 times m. On the bottom, we have 2 times 2 times 5 and m times m times m. Now on the top, there's nothing that I can take out because we're trying to pair them. There's no pairs, so I'm just leaving that alone. But on the bottom, I could take out a pair of 2's and a pair of m's. When I do that, I'm left with 2 times 3 times m. And on the bottom, I have the 2 outside and the m on the outside. And I'm left with 5 times m. That still need a pair. Now remember that the bottom number has to always, we always have to take out the square root, no matter what. So if I'm stuck with a 5 and an m, that means that I need to get a double of those two numbers. So I'm going to multiply 5 and m, so I get a double of 5's and a double of m's. And I'm going to do the same to the top because whatever I multiply on the bottom, I have to multiply on the top as well. When I do that, I get on the top 2 times 3 times 5 times m times m. On the bottom, I get 2 times m. And then right here, we get 5 times 5 times m times m. So on the top, it seems like the only pair that comes out is the m. On the bottom, both the 5 and the m come out. So we're left with m. 2 times 3 times 5, that equals to 30. On the bottom, we have 2 times 5 times m, which would be m square root of 30 over 10 m to the power of 2. Now, on the outside, we still have this fraction here. So if I were to look at this fraction, I could still take and simplify the m's over here. So if I divide both, if I take out one m from both of them, right? I divide both of them by m, I'm left with, as my answer, square root of 30 over 10m. And that would be my final answer. Okay. Alright, let me clear this and then let's continue on to the next problem, which is asking us to simplify the expression 4 over square root of 2 minus x. Now this one's a little bit off. That problem, I forgot to change it. It needs to be 4 over square root of 2 minus x, like that. So if we have a problem that looks like this, where originally in our other problem from before, we only had a multiplication. It said here that 20 was multiplying by m. We didn't have any addition or subtraction. So in this case, it was easier to simplify. But over here, because we have a subtraction sign, we can't just simply multiply another additional square root. So in this case, let me cross this out again, because this is our new question. In this case, I need to multiply by the opposite operation to cancel out both the square root of, or to cancel out that square root of 2, basically. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 2 plus x. That addition sign is going to cancel, or help me cancel out the square root of 2. So whenever you see a subtraction sign, you want to complete the opposite operation, which is to add. If you had an addition sign, you want to multiply by the opposite operation, which would be to subtract. but in this case we have subtraction, so I'm going to multiply by square root of 2 plus x. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top as well. So let's start off here with 4 parentheses square root of 2 plus x. On the bottom, we have square root of 2 minus x times square root of 2 plus x. So I'm going to FOIL the bottom first because the bottom seems the longest at least. When I FOIL the bottom here, we get, let's see, right here, I need to multiply square root of 2 with the square root of 2 and also with the x. And then over here, I have to multiply negative x with the square root of 2 and positive x. So square root of 2 times square root of 2, that equals to square root of 2 times 2, which is just 2. Then I have square root of 2 times positive x, so we get x square root of 2. When I had the other distribution, we get negative x times the square root of 2. That equals to negative x squared root 2. We also have here negative x times x, which equals to negative x squared. So on the bottom here, we have 2 plus x square root of 2 minus x square root of 2 minus x squared. And on the top, I'm going to distribute the 4 to the square root of 2 and to the x. So we get 4 square root of 2 plus 4x. Once I do that, I could see here that I could cancel out the x square root of 2 and the negative x square root of 2. So I can cancel that. I'm going to cross it out. And so I'm left with 4 square root of 2 plus 4x over 2 minus x squared. And since there's nothing else I can simplify, that would be my final answer. Okay. Alright, so let me clear this, and then let's continue on to the next question. I'll give you a few minutes to try it out. It's asking you to simplify the expression negative 3 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 12 minus 10 square root of 27. Okay. So whenever we're combining like radicals, the first thing that I want to do, again, is to simplify all the numbers possible in the radicals. So right here, this is a prime number. There's nothing I can do. Over here we have 12 and we have 27. So I could deal with the 12 and the 27, see if there's anything I could take out. From 12 we get 3 times 4. This turns into a 2 times 2. Over here we have 3 times 9, and that would be 3 times 3. So my new expanded expression is negative 3 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3 times 2 times 2 minus 10 square root of 3 times 3 times 3. So from here we could take out a pair of 2's, and we can also take out a pair of 3's. When I do that, I'm left with 3 square root of 3 plus 5 times 2, and that left over inside is the square root of 3. And then on the bottom we have 10 times 3. Left over is that square root of 3. So from here we get negative 3 square root of 3 plus 10 square root of 3 minus 30 square root of 3. Once we do that, the next step is to see if there's any radicals that I can combine. If I look at the radicals, they're both, or actually all 3 of them are being squared. And on top of that, they all have the radicand that is the same. So all of them have the answer 3 inside of the radical. So because of that, that means I can combine all 3 together. So I'm going to look at their coefficients here, the negative 3, the positive 10, and the negative 30. And I'm going to add them all together. So negative 3 plus 10 minus 30, that equals to negative 23. Once I do that, on the bottom I get negative 23 times the square root of 3. So remember to always keep that radical the same when you combine the like radicals. And that would be my final answer. Okay. Alright. So let's try out one more problem, which is to multiply radicals. So again, for this one, still want to start off by simplifying any radicals that can be simplified, like the 12 again. Oops, sorry. So the 12 can be simplified to 3 times 4, which is 2 times 2. Let me deal with that first. We have the square root of 2 times square root of 3 times 2 times 2 plus 5 square root of 3. I could take out the pair of 2's. When I do that, I'm left with square root of 2 times 2 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3. And so I can combine these two together. So 2 plus 7, or sorry, 2 plus 5, that equals to 7 square root of 3. And that's multiplying with the square root of 2. So we get as our answer square root of 2 times square root of 3 times 7, which is just 7 square root of 6. And that would be my final answer. Okay, so hopefully this helps. Good luck.